First segment of the first weekly footy show. Steve, we're going to call this one Hits, Misses, and Hold Fire. We're looking for a team that was a hit, a team that was a miss, and a team that we might need to wait another week or two to assess our judgments on. And Steve, you've got the hit for this week.
Yeah, I haven't gone with a team per se, more so of a moment that happened in a particular game. Talking about Heath Chapman's game-winning save on the goal line for the Dockers.
Oh, this was epic. This was just unbelievable. Not really a household name, was he, BT, before this, but it's one of the great 1%ers of all time.
Oh, he's definitely a household name now. He's he's the biggest name for the round. I watched that most of that game. Then I was down. I checked the score, and it was 1 point in. I was like, "Oh, quick, got to get back to the TV." Saw that, and I was like, "Oh, I like watching draws because you don't see them that often." But that was, for such a young player, that was a big moment.
And not only tap on the line to get back up and get the receiving handball, and then clear it out of it. And like the play wasn't over just by saving it off the line. So he did well to recover from there as well.
The game awareness was just phenomenal, and it was a really gutsy win from Freo, Steve. I mean, they went into the game favourite, just had that wave of momentum from Adelaide. They looked shocked to me. I can't believe they came back and won it.
We had nothing but good things to say about Freo and nothing but really bad things to say about Adelaide, but Adelaide showed a bit of fight and to come back there. So, I mean, I didn't catch too much of it, but I don't really know if Freo switched off a lot or whether Adelaide just really upped the gears, but ended up being a pretty good game. So
there were a lot of good games this round. I think you could say eight of the 9, really it could have gone either way. I think there was only one real blowout this round. And BT, you're going to run us through our miss for the week. So it's a team or a player that really wasn't on. Have you gone with the obvious candidate?
No, I've gone with St Kilda. I'm going with the Saints.
You've gone with the Saints?
Purely based on Geelong. I know we had Geelong down. I'm assuming you're referring to Essendon, the big loss.
Yeah, Essendon, obviously the main team that got blown out, and they did not look great, did not look competitive. Rutten was very public about that as well, that it was not the sort of effort you want to see, particularly round 1. But you've gone with the Saints. The Saints fans are not going to love us at all.
Oh, it's purely because they're coming up against a Collingwood side, which is clearly dropped off a lot, where Essendon was coming up against a Geelong team. I know we had them a little bit lower down the ladder this season, but who knows, they could still finish top 4. So this was perfect for St Kilda to get off to the season to a flyer. Easy competition at their home ground. They love playing at Marvel. Friday night against a big club in Collingwood, and they cracked under pressure. Oh, and also, I'm going to add a player to this. He was my Brownlow tip in Jack Steele. Brought him into my fantasy as well. Paid top dollar for him.
Oh, no.
And this guy, oh, my God. Watched him last season a bit, but now because he's in my fantasy team, so I watched him a lot on Friday. I watched the whole game. I've never seen such a player who does not like to run both ways. He's a good player, but he was one-on-one with the goalie a fair few times in the centre. This was a perfect example. They were right next to each other. Colin would get the easy clearance to the goalie, bombs it in long, bounces around, there's a ball up, and 30 metres out, probably the left-hand side. St Kilda win the tap, bang it back out. Colin would bang it back into the right-hand side. Guess who takes the mark? The goalie. Where's Jack Steele? Still on the left-hand side where the first ball up was.
Yeah, Jack Steele has this perception as he's one of the best tackling players in the competition. Really likes to get stuck in, but yeah, not a two-way runner. That's an interesting call. I don't see enough Saints games to be able to comment on that, but I'm sure that the Saints fans will certainly give their opinion. Yeah, interesting call. Was there anyone from the Saints that you thought did show something? Because, they certainly didn't have their best performance on Friday night.
Real Marshall, he had an outstanding game. He tore up Brody Grundy, but can't go past Jack. Big Jack Hayes.
Unbelievable.
What a game. He's definitely a star. He's already a good size. He might keep Paddy Ryder out. They may play all 3 and play Paddy Ryder up forward. Or
that's what I was going to ask, is how does that work? Because you don't want to be too tall, and they've got a couple of tall guys up front already.
You got to get games into this guy. Obviously, Paddy Ryder's not going to be around for much longer. And he based on that one game, he looked the goods. 18 disposals, 3 goals, 89 efficiency, 11 contested possessions, all for a big man.
And more importantly, he's now on BT's list. And by BT, I mean Brian Taylor. Yes. And if you're on Brian Taylor's list, it means you're getting more prime time games, which is good for the club. It's good for their popularity. So
Yes.
give this man some game time and make the Saints relevant again. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Obviously.
He's he's definitely got the goods. I like him, Rowan Marshall. They're probably the two players that stood out. Rest of the team, I'm going to stick with what we said through the preseason. Boring list. I can see them.
They're not going to like you.
I can see them
They
based
are
on that
not
one
gonna
performance.
like you.
They're finishing bottom 4 of that.
Bottom 4.
They were.
Oh, jeez. We're not
they
even in the
deserve to-
bold predictions part yet. Come on, BT.
They deserve to lose by more than what they did against Collingwood.
Yeah, my mate Lipinski as well. He looked like an absolute jet. So if you're making him look like a superstar, clearly you're no good. The last part of this segment is the hold fire. So typically Tazza would run this segment, not in tonight. For Tazza's sake, his beloved Port Adelaide, they're my pick for the hold fire for this week. I don't think it's all doom and gloom for Port. Obviously disappointing to go down in round 1 to what is going to be a top 4 team in Brisbane. But the injuries hurt him. You don't want to blame injuries, but they did have a lot of injuries. You know, Aaliyah doing the ankle, he's going to be out for a while. McKenzie with the knee, which looked really bad, but apparently it's not an ACL. You know, Gray and Rosie, they battled through. Dersma got subbed out with the collarbone from the heat-seeking Mitch Robinson, who just was a human missile out there, just going directly for the collarbone. They had injury problems, but there were some good signs. Dan Houston was phenomenal in this game and really stepped up to the level that Port Adelaide fans have been wanting him to get to for a while. The midfield looked good. They got on top in the third quarter and really cemented home that advantage. They were up by 4 goals. It was really good signs, particularly given their forward line wasn't functioning. You know, I think they had 2 goals combined for the game from key forwards. You know, Georgiades, who was our, hyped up pick at the start of the year, he only kicked 1. Todd Marshall only kicked 1. Finlayson in his first game for the club had no impact. Obviously, Charlie Dixon not back in the team. So forward line structure wasn't there, but even still, Port Adelaide looked competitive and they were able to match it for the most part with a really good team in Brisbane. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for Port Adelaide. Steve, would you agree with me on that, or you think I'm talking out of my ass?
No, I'd agree. Yeah, it didn't look great that fourth quarter, being up by 4 goals. I think like you're going against Brisbane, who are top 4 team. Like you had the top 4 teams. Well, we think the top 4 teams all going against each other this first game. So yeah, they can't take it too deep. Big Joe Danaher with 4 goals towards that 70 total.
Yeah.
Could have had 5. What was he thinking, BT? What was that? He's your man.
I was literally, I only watched that game because I want to watch Smoke and Joe. That's all I care about with Brisbane this year. He is my number 1 player for the whole season. I'd rather Joe Danaher kick 70 goals than West Coast Eagles win the premiership. That's how much I'm on Smoke and Joe. Smoke and Joe is going all the way.
BT. That's a terrible call. What are you thinking?
He looked good, though.
That's a
You have to
rubbish
admit,
call.
he looked good.
He did look good. He was marking everything, and he was playing against a really good Port Adelaide backline. They've got some good players there. They've got an All-Australian in Aaliyah. You know, McKenzie has turned himself into a really good key back. Jonas, so, you know, they're no slouches there.
He looked very good. And there's going to be coming up against these lower teams when he versus your Adelaide, your Gold Coast. He's going to kick bags.
He's going to feast. He's going to absolutely feast. You can guarantee that.